Hello and welcome back to Eden's Reach. We'll be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after. God, it's been so long since there was an update. If I recall, the last thing that they discussed was that there's going to be a mission, and Adrian's going to get to go on said mission. And that's about all I remember. He's going to be basically playing the part of a DJ, but also like a lookout for both Oswald and Benji, I think. And they're going to try to steal some information on Eden Corp. And that's about all I remember, unfortunately. So yeah. I assume that in the time that leads up to the mission, Oswald and Benji will be teaching Adrian basically how to, how to fight back if he needs to. So I guess that's what happens in between the time where he was told, "Oh yeah, you're gonna go on a mission," and now, basically. But I guess there's no use talking right now, and we should just, continue and see what happens. I wasn't prepared for the week's work that was ahead of me, as both Benji and Oswald took their turns training me to the best of their ability in all forms of combat. Oswald trained me in close hand-to-hand combat, just like he said. And while he's a nice and gentle teacher, I often find myself learning more from Benji with his strict yet enriching regimen and ranged combat. Over the next 6 days, I became a lot more confident in my aim than with my fists, which probably shows who's better at teaching. Though it definitely didn't feel like the week came and went, the fateful day. The day of the mission finally came. I wake up once more, still getting used to the early hours, being a part of the midnight sun demands of me. I take my newly laundered clothes, neatly folded by Benji, and put them on. The sly raccoon is quite the neat freak, surprisingly, considering he does most of the cleaning in the base. It isn't all that surprising for me anymore to see him sweeping the floors on his off time. Guess you really shouldn't just judge people at first glance. Of course, the raccoon constantly reminding me of those words isn't helping me forget it anytime soon. As I take my time walking towards the training hall, my mind drifts towards Oswald. Of course, the wolf is quite sweet, perhaps even a bit territorial. Actually, nope. He's definitely the territorial type. There's no doubt about that. Whenever I think about it, though, a rather simple question goes through my head. Why? I haven't really warranted any of it, as far as I'm concerned. It really only leaves me in the dark about Oswald's intentions. Yeah, sure. The guy's about as straight as me, at the very worst, but people don't get like that over a simple crush. The thought of being his crush is a bit surprising too. To be honest, I'm not too sure how I feel about it. Oswald may be nice for those reasons, but I'm not too eager on that possibility. Maybe because I might not genuinely reciprocate those feelings. I finally arrive at the training hall. Despite my self-imposed delays, I peek inside to see Oswald and Benji. Oswald was in the middle of his training footwork on the ring while Benji was at the shooting range as usual. I suppose, since this is the last day, I should train with them. But where to go first? If I recall correctly from the past, it's pretty split between these two. Like, some people like Benji, some people like Oswald. Honestly, I prefer Benji. Mm, let's go with Oswald. I certainly need to brush up my hand-to-hand combat. I definitely prefer it if I didn't have to fight anybody. But at this rate, coming to blows with someone else is sounding more like an inevitability than a possibility. When it comes to hand-to-hand combat, Oswald's proven to be the most knowledgeable of all of the guys at the base, as far as I've seen. Sure, Benji's got his instincts and his agility, Mech's got that hot-blooded nature of his, but Oswald... It always seems like every punch and every strike, every action in battle, There's a meaning and purpose to all of them. No matter what way you ask him about why he dodges a certain way and why he pulled his punch then, he always has an answer. Even though he can't always put it into words. I climb into the ring. Puddles of sweat from Oswald's practice are littered across its floor, making it glisten and gleam against the ceiling light. He gazes at me as I let out a large puff of air upon standing back, the short climb surprisingly taking the wind out of me. Guess it's still too steep for me to just lunge over it easily. Well, I suppose I can't expect much from a week of training, but still. Hey, Adrian. His tone is unexpectedly sullen, but I suppose that should be given, with the mission and all. I decide to ignore it, raising my fists up. Mind a sparring session? I need a refresh on that stance you've been teaching me. He doesn't respond, chuckling a bit as he raises his fists in return. I nod as I take the first step forward, inching closer towards the wolf's large form. My whole body still feels heavy from his presence in the ring, his fierce eyes intimidating me to no end. Aside from the times I had to spar with him, I was a lot more comfortable when he just taught me to throw good punches. Still can't apply it too well, though. Regardless of my feelings, I muster up the strength to take a wide swing at him, which he easily dodges. He grabs my extended arm, throwing me to the hollow floor of the ring. I take a second to recover, the speed of it happening way too fast for me. When I open my eyes, Oswald is leaning down, looking at me with a concerned look. You okay? Yeah, just a bit winded by the speed is all. Oswald nods as he sighs in relief. He extends his hand to me, which I take immediately. He lifts me up to a sitting position, sitting cross-legged afterwards, to level with me. So, what did you do wrong? I groaned as I scratched my head, the impact I had on the ring still slightly tingling across my back. Well, I thought... Alright, stop. That's where the problem lies. He pokes my forehead with his finger, his claws trailing it softly. You still depend on that head of yours. Thinking in the middle of a fight can only get you so far. I pout in frustration. The wolf continues on. You have to learn to cut your thinking mid-fight. You see an attack, you react accordingly. You make it sound so easy. Oswald grabs me by the torso, lifting me as he stands up. Well, that's because it develops naturally the more experience you have. You don't have to actively hone it, but it speeds up the process if you do. I shake my head in confusion. If it's just a natural progression thing, why do we still spar and train? Wouldn't it be better if I beat up some criminals out in some alley or something? Oswald chuckles at my remark, but quickly recomposes himself. Come on, Adrian. Just because you're mentally capable of keeping up with someone doesn't mean your body will follow suit. If it does, it'll break itself in the process. Oswald flexes his biceps, smirking to himself as he does so. At this point, I'm quite used to seeing the wolf's tone form, at least enough to stop being a blushing mess around him. We train and spar to mitigate that. The more our body is capable of doing the things it needs to survive, the more possibilities our mind can default to almost in any situation. Oswald raises his fists once more, his expression returning to a serious one. Now, I'm not going to attack nor counter any of your moves. Try to develop your strength. Throw stronger punches. That'll be the focus for as long as we can till the mission. Right. We continue like this for the next few minutes or so, stopping after a sequence of strikes at his open palms for him to give his feedback. He focuses on being more agile, making me work harder to keep up with his speed. After a while, we finally stop, my body not feeling as shit as after the first few combat sessions with Oswald. I suppose there's that as a mark of improvement to be proud of. Oswald creates a distance between us as I take a moment to catch my breath. As I regain myself, I look up to Oswald, who's dripping in sweat. He rotates his arms as he stretches upwards, a low-pitched groan escaping his muzzle. Probably hit a good spot in that stretch. Sweat falls down from his chest to his abdomen until he finally stops releasing a sigh as he looks at me once more. Well, that was a nice warm-up, I'd say. Enough for the mission, maybe? I laughed nervously at his remark. I like to think I won't overexert myself. That is a nice thought, yeah. Oswald sighs to himself, his smile quickly dissipating back into that aloof expression. Is something wrong, Oz? Oswald quickly realizes my concern, his ears perking up as his eyes dart towards me. I'm fine, Adrian. I'm just thinking about the stuff that I need for the mission. Oswald walks past me, patting me on the shoulder. You better get ready too. I nod to him, the wolf taking it as a sign to drop from the ring and leave. As I look at him, as his figure disappears into the corner, something tugs onto the edge of the ring. Well, well, you really are the wolf's happy pill. Benji leans on one of the ring's support beams, his tail swinging playfully. Well, I suppose a conversation could be nice. After all, I do need to get ready for the mission. Why don't we talk on the way? All right. We walk off from the training area towards the hallway, silence enveloping the atmosphere around us. The faint hum of the pipes echoing across the vents on the ceiling, tempting me to take the first step. I've always let Benji start conversations for the short time I knew the raccoon. It always felt a lot more natural that way. I hesitate to speak, yet I eventually find the right words to break the silence. So, about Oswald? Benji glances at me nonchalantly, a hint of curiosity on his face. Did you notice anything off about him? Off? Yeah, like something's on his mind? Benji chuckles playfully. Quite a phenomenon for that airhead, no? Heh, I suppose so, but that isn't the weirdest part. Benji doesn't respond and I decide to continue with my thoughts. It's not like him to stay quiet about his emotions, right? Quite observant, though it is a bit off mark. Benji pauses for a moment. The wolf's remarkably good at keeping his emotions in check when it matters. Really, I wouldn't be able to tell. The raccoon places his hand on my shoulder, facing me as we stop in our tracks. It's understandable. Devoid of the full picture, you made a rather convincing template, given the information before you. Benji faces back towards the door behind him, and I immediately recognize it as his room. However, for your safety, I suppose context shall be your best shield, so you know where you and I stand. The door behind him opens as he steps back, standing on the doorframe. He signals me to come with him, much to my confusion. You told me your room was off limits. I said that it's off limits unless I told you otherwise, so... He signals me again, and the idea finally settles on me. Oh, come on now, pup. Nervous to see the nefarious machinations that come at my abode? I roll my eyes as I humor him. Well, this is what you trained me for, right? He giggles as we enter his room. The walls are rather dark, purposefully painted in a dark shade of green, neon lights trailing the walls. The color scheme of the room and glow from the lighting reminds me of his jacket. Benji has a bed bigger than the one I have in my room, and it's quite neat and orderly. The same thing can be said for the things on his end table and the desk opposite the bed. This just confirms that Benji is definitely a neat freak. Surprising. For a raccoon. I'll pack some things for the mission. I'll holler if I need you to grab something. Why don't you look around? I nod as I walk towards the center of the room. It feels more spacious than my own room, despite all the extra furniture he has. Oh, and try not to mess with the order of things. I don't want to have to clean this place up when I get back. Heh, will do, sir. I chuckle as I survey the area, with Benji sitting on the bed and taking some things from his desk. I notice a few things of note in his room, outside of what I've already seen. There's a row of small vials neatly arranged next to a diffuser, and a framed picture on the end table next to it. I approach the dresser first, taking a few of the vials and reading the inscriptions on them. Citrus and lemon. Earthen morning. Rainy day. All have a sort of nature theme to them. So, this is the culprit to your unique scent, Benji leans back at me with a slight surprise, followed by a chuckle. Well, I like to remind myself what it's like to breathe rural air. Rural? Huh. That takes me back. You're a provincial too? Yep, I'm from further south. It was quiet, and there was a lot of water surrounding our town. Coupled with the cold breeze, it must have been a nice swim, I assume. Yeah, it was, especially during the summer. Well, I don't get the appeal. Being from the north makes you look at the cold a bit differently. Huh, good to know. I put the vials back in their exact positions, as I'm sure Benji's a stickler for the details. I stand a few feet back before investigating the end table. I approach it, taking the picture and observing the frames front and back. It's rare to see physical photos, even more so actually wooden frames. I take a look at the photo itself. It's a family picture. Part of it is folded almost purposefully. Hey, Benji. Yeah? I hesitate to bring it up, yet my curiosity makes me reaffirm my decision. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but... I show him the picture as he looks behind him. Is this... your family? Benji's expression deflates into a rather bitter one, causing me to recoil and place the frame back on the end table. I'm sorry. No. It's fine, Hotshot. To answer your question, it is my family. He turns back to continue arranging his stuff. I have 6 siblings. I'm the oldest, and that makes us 7. Are they in Bayline City? He shakes his head. They're back in the province, are they? No response. Ooh, fuck. I just made a mistake, didn't I? I hope he isn't mad at me. I take a seat on the bed, making sure to keep myself behaved for the rest of the time I'm here. I didn't leave because I was selfish. He takes me by surprise, and I quickly glance back at him. That is what you're thinking, right? The oldest brother leaves his family to gain riches on his own. Not at all. The thought never even crossed my mind. Maybe. Maybe you don't realize it. A sigh escapes under his breath, surely to hide it from me. I have my reasons. As much as this past week's been a delight, I don't believe we're there yet. He turns to face me once more. Just trust me, alright? Okay. The door suddenly slid wide open, with Alice on the other side, a box covering up her chest. Hey Benji, here's the rest of your stuff. She cuts herself off when she sees me. Oh, hey Adrian. Perfect timing. I wave at her, but Benji stands approaching the tiger. Everything's here, yes? With some extra leftovers as per your request. Benji chuckles. Perfect. Thank you, darling. He winks, Alice rolling her eyes in response. Her eyes dart to me instead. Your stuff's at the lounge in a box too, all prepared for the mission at hand. I nod at her and she promptly leaves, pouting at Benji before doing so, causing the raccoon to chuckle. Well then, Hotshot, go ahead to the lounge. We'll need to get ready for a party, after all. Oh, alright then. I take the hint and leave, first for the lounge. I'm sure Benji will catch up after a bit. He's always been quick with his business. I take a brisk pace to reach the lounge, crashing onto the couch as I groan to myself. I messed up, didn't I? I shake my head in embarrassment and shame. Damn it, I'm a lot more tactful than whatever that was. Bringing up his parents when they were hidden in the photo. Stupid, Adrian. Stupid. I suppose I need to sate my curiosity, but... As I groan, I suddenly feel something pressing on my nose. A shadow looms over me with it, making me blink twice to see what was booping me. Nervous? I slowly stand as the shadow turns out to be Alice. A bit imprudent to sleep before you head out on a mission, no? I shift into a sitting position on the sofa, leaning back with a sigh escaping my lips. I know. But I kinda need to calm down. Alice stifles a chuckle. Did Benji give you the old boot after letting you in his room? I nod to her, the tigress planting herself onto the couch chair opposite me. She places a bag onto the coffee table, signaling me to take a look inside. Your new gear. You can thank me and Ellie for the upgrades that we found useful for your skill set. As I open the bag, Alice looks expectantly at me with each object I take out. Inside the bag is a gas mask, an improved version of my jacket, and a communicator device. Wow. This is... Alice's smile minimizes a bit, her eyebrow raising in tandem. Your hesitation doesn't bode well. You don't like it? No. I think it's amazing. I guess I'm just a bit disappointed in myself. I bet that you were able to get more creative with others' gadgets. Don't get your tail in a twist. It's your first mission after all, so you can consider this as your starter set. Besides, I've already had your bracelet updated to interface with the party's sound system. That'll be all you need if things go smoothly. If things go smoothly, huh? My mind still feels uneasy about the entire mission. Dylan always said that I was the type to worry, but in this case, I feel like it's warranted. After all, a life and death situation would certainly be cause to think about the outcomes, right? As my thoughts drift to the near infinite possibilities that the mission might end, I quickly notice a shiny piece of metal twirling in between Alice's fingers, slight gleams reflecting off its surface. Hey, Alice? Yeah? What's that thing? The thing that you're spinning around. It looks like something fragile. Alice does a double take on what I see is a metal chip. Had she not considered that she could break it if it was a chip? It's not fragile, I think. Maybe it's because I'm used to handling stuff like this. She lays it flat on her palm, showing it to me slowly. Besides, this isn't gonna be something that you need for the mission. It's a backup copy of a gadget for Oswald and Benji. A cloaking device that allows them to change their clothing's appearance through the use of hard light. A cloaking device? How does it work? Well, that's what I'm here for. Alice gazes towards the entrance of the rooms, causing me to look back as well, only to see Benji, the chip attached to his choker. With the simple press of a button, Benji's outfit quickly changes from his usual jacket to a very dapper and convincing tuxedo, completely concealing the bag he had strapped on his shoulder. Whoa. Infiltrating enemy lines means that they're gonna have to be non-threatening, but that often means that we have to come up with roundabout ways to smuggle any weapons and gadgets in. That would often implicate our insider man. However, with this technology we can still be Prince Charmings, with deadly firearms strapped on our backs, and no one would be the wiser. Of course, rifles are not my style, so this is mostly for my other nifty trinkets I have to hide before we get to the back rooms. As we talk, we hear footsteps echoing from the hallway. And speaking of a surprisingly harmless Prince Charming type, Oswald comes into the lounge already in a pseudo-tuxedo similar to Benji's, though it has a bit more of a personal touch. Sorry for the wait. It took me a bit to get this thing to work. Oswald places his hands close to his sleeves, revealing the actual gauntlets hidden beneath the hard light illusion. Oz, remember what I said. The illusion can easily break under sudden movements. You have to be delicate with it. Sorry, Alice. There's that distant tone again. Am I just imagining it, or... You two certainly look fit for a fancy party. I kinda wish I had an excuse to wear a tuxedo too. It may look comfortable, but believe me, Hotshot, we've got our gear under all of this. Indeed. Of course, this is just to get past the initial crowd, but... Oswald pauses for a moment, causing the raccoon next to him some unease. We'll be prepared to fight if it comes to that. If we do this right, we won't have to. I'd prefer that option at the moment. The wolf chuckles as he gently pats Benji on the back. Huh, that's so. I'll keep the safety on then. Oswald walks towards the exit of the base, looking back at me and Benji. Well, are you guys ready? Ready as I'll ever be, I guess. Benji moves past Oswald, disappearing into a corner. Let me get the car ready. Of course. Tell Corvus I said hi. Hmm. Oswald and I follow the raccoon onto the hallway, his figure disappearing off into the staircase. I quickly try to pick up the pace, but Oswald lags behind, having no intention of keeping up with me or Benji. I constantly alternate between taking a few steps ahead and then waiting for the wolf to keep up with me, his gaze mostly directed at the floor. If his tone hadn't given it away by now, his averted gaze definitely sells the idea. Of course the mission is just around the corner, but still. This is a large disconnect, something that feels unnatural in a sense. I hesitate to bring it up to Oswald, with all the signs I've been getting. Whatever is bothering him is going to be too disruptive to bring up right now. Maybe later. I quickly go up the steps towards the exit, my partner's steps echoing loudly behind me. As I reach the first signs of light, I quickly see Benji fiddling around outside the car. Ah, you're here. I give him a casual wave in response. Hey Adrian, I'd like you to meet someone. Oh, who would that be? He chuckles as he wraps his arm around my shoulder. He ushers me to the driver's seat of the car, rolling down the window. Suddenly, an electrical buzzing comes from inside of the car. Greetings, Sir Adrian. Charmed to make your acquaintance. I didn't expect this. Benji's car has an AI in it. So, artificial intelligence in a car? I am much more than some measly AI, my good sir. I would highly suggest that you rectify such notions in your mind before entering my premises. Oh, a surprisingly sassy one. I wonder why you picked this AI, Benji. The raccoon giggles as he steps into the driver's seat. This is Corvus, Adrian. He's got the power of the latest GPS and maneuvering at his arsenal without all the boring, straight-laced bullcrap of conventional AI. Without the legal limitations as well, might I add. Oh, well that's reassuring. I almost forgot that what we're about to do is illegal in every sense of the word. At least, this is a good reminder of where we stand. It's definitely jarring that I have to worry about being caught as a wanted criminal. Is it maybe too late to turn back? My thought process gets cut off as the door to the front seat of the car opens up, with Benji on the wheel. He ushers me inside with a quick waving motion, which places me back in the reality of the situation. Even if there was any way I could turn back from all of this, a part of me won't let that happen to my no, my life. To anyone else. If Eden Corpus decided that I was out of line fighting for the people that I care about like Dylan, then I'd gladly do it again. I have little to no doubts now. Stepping into the car, I'm quickly readied up with a seatbelt, coupled with Corvus's engines whirling. Benji places his hand on my shoulder as he starts backing out of the bar's garage. Light quickly comes from behind us with the sunset, an orange hue filling the back seats, a bit peeking through Oswald's large frame. This is it. The very first mission. The mission that starts the battle of my life. I had a feeling that I was going to be continued right there. Ugh. Anyways, so yeah. So hold on real quick. So that was basically under 40 minutes. So that was short. But honestly, in diving back to Eden's Reach, it's kind of fine that it's short like this. It also means that it's just one episode. Damn. But yeah. Actually, that's good. But yeah, so that was Eden's Reach. Well, we're returning back to Eden's Reach, I guess, is what you should be saying, or what I should be saying. Um, so yeah, it's kind of weird to see Oswald this distant with Adrian, and I kind of feel that Benji's taking advantage of it by being like, "Hey, yeah, come over here, little husky. I'll take care of you. Don't mind the pouty wolf." But I'm assuming he's being pouty because he's worried of what might happen. Maybe there's something that they're not telling him, and so he's like very very worried that it's all gonna go wrong and that something's gonna happen to Adrian because like Adrian was saying, he's very he's very uh not overprotective, but well, I guess it could be overprotective, but what was the word that he used? He's very territorial of Adrian, like, no, he's my dog, my husky. And, you know, I try to see what would happen if you decide to spar with him instead of, going to Benji to do the training. And it still seems like he's very like, I'm not happy with what's going on right now. I'm gonna be all sullen and not do anything. But again, it's probably because we're bringing Adrian along to this mission. He just doesn't want the dog to get hurt. But instead of saying like, "Hey, Adrian, you'll do fine. I'll protect you," or something like that, he's just closing in and doesn't want to say anything. But yeah, anywho, so it's also kind of nice to see Benji being a little less passive aggressive. Well, not passive aggressive because he's not passive aggressive. He's very like I don't want to deal with you right now, or like ugh. But actually no, he's not even like that. He's just very mm, I don't know how to describe it, but it's nice to see that he opens up a little bit more and that he likes to have a little bit more fun now, at least with Adrian, and being just a bit more nice to him and accommodating, I guess is the word. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah. So what are your thoughts? How do you think the mission's gonna go? I personally think that something's gonna happen. But what's gonna happen? I don't know. If it's gonna be a bad happen, good happen. Hmm? Anywho, so yeah. So write down in the comments what you think is gonna happen in part two and part three, because I don't know if that's all that's gonna be for the mission, where part two is gonna detail the mission and part three is gonna be the aftermath of the mission. But yeah. And when I say part two and part three, I don't have a part two video, part three video coming up. I mean, like, this is the first update since this is the first public update since they returned from hiatus. So the next part is what's going to come out next month, and the part three is going to come out 2 months from now. So yeah. Anywho, or coming months, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember what they wrote on Twitter. But yeah. So anyways, so thank you all for watching slash listening. If you would like to support the project and get early access to the coming parts, you can. Do they have a Patreon? Uh, I think they do. Do they? I forget. I know they have a coffee, and so if they do, then you get early access to that. I'm pretty sure they do. It's been a long time. I don't even remember what I usually write on the bottom for like the video descriptions. But yeah. Also, you could read Liar or One Last Night or Project New Moon when it comes out. I don't remember if that's an actual VN. I know Grayson is writing one, but I don't know if it's One Last Night or if it's that one. Anyways, but yeah. So yeah. And well, I'll post a link to their Twitter on the description. So if there's any relevant Patreon coffee release schedule, it'll be there. So yeah. Anywho, so yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.